Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Second Breakfast podcast. I'm Andy Roth,
And
alongside
I'm
Phil
Phil
Duvall. Oh my
Duvall.
God. Already it starts.
Hey.
Already it starts. So, today is Wednesday, you may have noticed, and normally this would be our Project Melway day. Project Melway, brought to you by the Gibsonian Institute.
That's the very same thing.
And the very thing. And we have shot that. This week's Project Melway installment is The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2. But it got a little long because I love that movie and I can't
Yes.
really stop babbling about it. So we're going to release that one tomorrow when we normally release a longer podcast.
Right. I feel like this may be what happens every once in a while when it comes to Project Melway. When it comes to things like Lethal Weapon, Maverick, we may have to talk about We Were Warriors, or we isn't that what it's called? We Were Warriors. One. We were Warriors,
Sure.
or We Were Soldiers. It was
We
We
were
Were
soldiers.
Warriors.
We were soldiers.
We were soldiers. We're going to have to talk about that for a little while at some point. But yes, so we waited. It went a little longer than we planned for a Project Melway to go. Pardon. But we
Oh, I just got that.
but in true Project Melway fashion, we made it work. And we're going to use it on the Thursday long form, which means it freed us up today to do anything that is in our heart's desire. And I think we have something pretty relevant.
Yes, indeed.
Andy,
Phil,
you had a question for me. Andy, you had a question for me.
I did. Phil, do you enjoy movies?
Yes. Next question.
That's it.
Oh.
See you tomorrow for Project Melway. No. Do you enjoy, slightly harder, do you enjoy sports movies?
Not as much as I enjoy movies as a whole.
Well,
but
sure.
But overall, yes, Andy, I do.
Indeed. This is, believe it or not, neither of those are my actual question, that merely preamble to
It's a
this.
setup. It's a setup. It's a trap.
What sport has given us the best movies?
Oh yeah. Okay. So first of all, the first time you asked it, you were like, "What?" I guess in my mind, I was just thinking, "What has the best potential to be the best? What has the best sports movies potential? What sport?" In which case, I would narrow it from every movie, every sport in the world, very very quickly, down to either football or baseball. But your question being what it was, the answer is just it's just clearly, unquestionably baseball. Baseball is just this. First of all, you need to understand people. Here's the great thing about baseball: there are people who are stupid, and they say things like baseball is not good and it is boring and terrible.
Yeah, people are dumb.
The great thing about those stupid people is they still like baseball movies. That's how good baseball sports movies are when they're really well done. Like, you don't have to like baseball to love Bull Durham or every other Kevin Costner baseball movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to love baseball to love The Natural. You don't have to love baseball to love. First of all, if you don't love the Bad News Bears, the original, of course, I can't believe I have to say that, but the original, if you don't love the Bad News Bears, you actually get your human card taken.
Yes.
Taken away.
Yes.
Or no longer
You're
human.
no.
Look at Andy. Andy right now just got angry
No.
at the hypothetical person.
Yes.
Hypothetically, I am
Hypothetical
furious.
person who watches this podcast, get your life together and either watch or figure out a way to enjoy the Bad News Bears. Just do it.
Yeah.
For
With you.
America.
Good call, Roth.
I might, the only thing that you have just said that I might take exception to is you might need to like baseball to like for love of the game. You might.
Fair enough. Fine. That's fine.
I
think you might have to love baseball and love movies and love Kevin Costner, because it's definitely. I think you have to love a lot of things to love for love of the game.
yes.
But
Yes.
what you don't. But it's still about. But that isn't the fault of baseball so much as it's a fault of the movie, I think.
Indeed. That is absolutely true. If nothing else, of the movies of his baseball movies, that is the one that relies most on sort of this wonderful structure that baseball provides.
Can we talk for a moment about? So, do we both agree that it's baseball?
I might give you yeah. My argument, interestingly, is not football, because although it should, I
Yeah,
just
no, it should be. I can't even believe you're about to suggest basketball or hockey, but continue.
boxing, boxing. I know. I just baked your noodle. Uh,
I'm a failure.
you're not a failure.
No, I am a failure. I am a failure.
Nope.
Boxing is easily as good as baseball movies. You are absolutely right. No. Boxing might even be better.
Here's what I will say. If
I keep forgetting that's a sport.
If that what that ties into what I want to say. If the question is which sports movies are the most, like, by the widest margin better than the actual sport, the answer is clearly boxing.
Clearly boxing.
Clearly boxing.
Boxing has everything. Sports movies need to create a storyline, and they need to create a character within team sports generally, or within very complex rules and regulations for a sport. That, like, so for instance, tennis. I spent like a half hour trying to explain to my wife the scoring on tennis because she was just like, I don't get it. And I was like, okay, so you
That's
realize
not your wife's fault. Tennis is a dick.
and I like, because I really love tennis, and but like, you could make I was about to say you could make a great tennis movie, but I don't know if it's true. But I believe one could make a great tennis movie, but it would have to be worked really, really well. Boxing lends itself so beautifully to film because it's generally they only follow one, but one or two singular characters who literally battle it out for superiority, which is basically the story of half the movies that you see out there.
Yes.
Half the movies in the world are about whether or not blankety blank and blankety blank will get together. Yes. And the other half are two people fighting for supremacy. Two people or armies or teams or countries. And so this is able to create that. Boxing sets it up for that drama perfectly. And you don't have to know a thing about boxing. You don't have to know a thing about boxing.
Right, that's true.
That guy looks like he's hitting that other guy really hard.
I wonder who's winning. That guy just knocked the other guy down with a punch of the face.
To be fair, that might actually it creates situations like Rocky, all the Rocky movies, where the boxing scenes are completely ridiculous.
Yes.
Where no one ever gets punched. No one in the history of any heavyweight match has ever gotten hit as many times as Rocky gets hit.
Oh my God. Muhammad Ali, over the course of his entire career,
never got hit as much as Rocky got hit in one match.
By the end of the first movie, yes. Yeah.
I think of Rocky 3 when he just keeps punching Clubber Lang over and over again, over and over, and it's just like, no, that's something about boxing.
I heard something about boxing that I think, frankly, is not all that interesting about boxing, but it's very interesting about boxing movies. And they said, and it was a guy who loved boxing, and he was like, boxing is the greatest sport in the world because every sport in the world is about imposing your will on the other party, whether it's another person or another team.
Sure.
And for every other sport, it is metaphorical. I have imposed my will on you because I have scored more runs, or I have
I've thrown a ball past and you weren't able to hit it. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Boxing, it's not a metaphor. I have imposed my will on you because I have beaten you into submission. Right. And I don't want to push that too far in terms of the actual sport, but in terms of the movies, because, and this is going to sound like an insult, and I don't mean it as an insult, because it is the simplest sport, to wax poetic, it is the best, I think it might be the best canvas through which to build a story, or on which to build a story. Did I make sense just there?
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that is I don't actually, it's simple just in the sense it's like two people hit each other until someone falls down. But the funny thing is there's so many rules and there's so many nuances to boxing and the training into all of it that we don't actually understand.
Right.
That it's interesting that I feel like I wonder if we really get, if it's almost like the boxing itself becomes a metaphor for everything. For movies, for the movie's sake. They don't actually try to get into the particulars of what boxing is.
Right.
They're just like, they know that two people get to hit each other and we get to show that.
Right.
So
yeah, that's fair. I don't mean to suggest that that boxing is just two people standing and punching each other. I absolutely not.
No, I know you didn't. No, you didn't.
Although in some movies that is what happens.
Your three favorite boxing movies in order.
My three favorite boxing movies in order.
In order.
1, 2, and 3. Rocky, Raging Bull, and the last Rocky movie, the Rocky Balboa,
which I haven't seen. 1, 2, and 3. Raging Bull.
Yep.
The Fighter.
Oh.
I feel so strong about that one. And I'm gonna say I haven't seen Rocky in a long time. I almost want to say Rocky 4 because in Rocky 4 he ends the Cold War.
It's true. That is true.
I'm a child of the 80s. That matters to me. I really need to see Rocky again before I make that call. I'm just gonna leave spot 3 for either Rocky 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Oh goodness.
It probably wouldn't be.
I'm bumping Rocky Balboa for The Fighter. Thank you for reminding me. That's a good call.
You are welcome.
That's a good call. That was a masterfully made movie.
Can we talk about why football is not? Can we talk about why football doesn't work?
One of the things that I find most interesting is
you're a big football fan. You're a huge football fan.
I am. Okay. I think football. What's interesting is football. I don't think this is a revolutionary statement. I think football is the easiest sport to instantly understand on television. Because it's like the more that team goes that way, the more successful. The more this team goes this way, the more successful, right? And I think when a director, any director, from Oliver Stone to whoever directed other football movies, whenever a director tries to direct like a football action scene, they're like, I can't just show it as if it were on television, but the networks show it that way for a reason, because it's easily comprehensible. And so what you get is the crazy jumble of Any Given Sunday or the weird camera angles of the program, and you're like, why am I watching a football play from directly behind the small of the running back's back? Like, why is that?
Because they
happening?
Can show it to you. It's artsy.
Exactly. And
it makes me feel like they don't actually know football.
Exactly. They
don't really know how to shoot. They don't. You're right. There are not very many good. I will make the movie version of Friday Night Lights is phenomenally done.
Yes, it's very well done. It is very well done.
I feel like Peter Berg does a really good job of showing the story through the football playing.
Yes.
The only other football movie I think that comes close to it on quality and narrative style is Necessary Roughness.
Just go. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be auditioning co-hosts over the next few days. I will be in Austin, Texas, if you're around.
Andy Scott Backel is in it. Hector Elizondo is in it. Kathy Ireland plays a kicker.
You know what?
Ireland, a kicker.
I cannot rebut Hector Elizondo. I can't do it. Best sports movie ever.
Robert Loggia's in it.
Who would you?
Can I come?
Okay.
Back?
What did you say?
Can I come back?
You please come back. And the reason you're coming back is Robert Loggia. Do you remember this ad that I loved so much? It was an orange juice ad, and it was a mom who was trying to get her kid to drink orange juice with calcium, and she's like, "Please drink it. It has calcium." And the kid's like, "It's like, I don't believe you that it has calcium." And she's like, "Well, who would you believe?" And he goes, and there's like a 5-year-old kid. And he's like, "I don't know, Robert Loggia." And Robert Loggia comes out of the cabinet, and he's like, "It's true, kid." And I was like, I can die a happy man now.
Was this like recently?
No, okay. Like a decade ago.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. When we post this on YouTube or when we post this on Facebook, on the Facebook, and by the way, folks, if you found us other than on Facebook, please join us on Facebook.
Please do.
When we're on Facebook, I'm gonna definitely post that commercial underneath it in the comment
Oh my
section
god,
for
it's
sure.
so good. It's everything I want a commercial to be. It's wonderful. It's just so
Yeah,
wonderful.
right.
Um,
Great baseball movies, by the way.
I mean, I mean it starts with Field of Dreams, Bull Durham, and The Natural for me. And there's just so many. There's so in terms of volume, I don't think boxing beats baseball. Because I mean, you can go back as far as Pride of the Yankees. Uh, there are no great boxing musicals, and we do have damn Yankees.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know why? Do you know why I really think baseball lends itself structurally second only to boxing, as you've said, and why it does, why other movies don't work, or why other sports don't work and baseball works,
please.
is that baseball has a pace. There's a pacing to it. Now it is slow, which of course many people say, well, it's really boring.
Yeah.
But it actually, if you get into it, you are, and if someone's able to shoot it, they're able to show a story through the pacing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with football and basketball is impossible almost. Although
Yeah.
White Man Can't Jump is not a terrible film.
Nope.
Basketball is difficult. Blue Chips, on the other hand, is a terrible film.
No.
Basketball is difficult. Basketball, hockey, and soccer and
Terrible.
rugby are all hard, and even
Yeah.
football to some degree. Football only works because there's breaks in the action.
Yep.
But basketball, soccer, and hockey, it's just movement, 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 movement. So any story that gets told is really outside of the rink or the off the court or off the field for the most part, unless it's really, really amazing. I mean, football again, because there's plays, it works. But
Yeah.
but it has to be, but baseball, there's time. There's time for things to happen. There's natural pauses in the game during which stories can be told, during which people can talk, and it works really, really well. The extent to which football works is to the extent that it's true that there are pauses in the action for
Yeah.
football as well. And unlike football, where there's 22 people moving on any given play, in baseball, by and large, only one or two or maybe three people are moving at any given time. And it's quiet and then interspersed with action and things like this.
Yeah.
From a storytelling point of view, you can do so much more with baseball, and it has the opportunity for the team stuff that we all love and team identity. And unlike boxing, or whatever, you can represent a whole city or a whole people, as like the Angels do, and or Boston does, or whoever, right?
Yeah.
You represent, but you also have the opportunity for that singular, because every single person goes to bat.
Agreed.
And well, unless it's in the AL, but whatever, we won't talk about that. I love Major League, by the way.
Oh God, it's so good.
And I guess of the Kevin Costners,
Where'd you play last year? California Penal. How'd you get in that league? Stole a car.
Right. There's every single line in that movie. I mean, it's nonstop.
A list
It's
of the funny lines in
nonstop.
that movie would be the entire movie.
It really would. And I love. I think my favorite. I think it has to be Field of Dreams for the Kevin Costner ones. I really do. I think Bill Durham's great, but I really think it has to be Field of Dreams for me.
Well, we might talk about that further someday, but I think I agree with you, but we might talk about that further someday.
And I'm interested in other. Listen, I'll throw it down for other for filmmakers out there who are watching this. Like, if you want to make a sports movie, if you think hockey could be a better sports movie, make it happen. There's something about football. I don't know what it is about football. Baseball, I feel like you could talk about for hours and hours and hours, and that translates to movies too. I feel like football is really, really interesting when you're watching it, and then really not a lot to talk about afterwards. I really feel like there's not, like, football shows where they're talking about football. I'm just like, baseball lends itself to poetry, and I don't quite understand why. And I know I'm being old-fashioned and like that, but I
don't think you are. I think it's what you said. I think it's the pacing. I think it's the pacing, and it isn't that it's slow, but the fact that it's slow doesn't hurt. It's that it's deliberate, right? And deliberate can be fast, and there are points in baseball where the action is fast. But it is deliberate in a way, and even though there are so, in a weird way, there are so many pauses in the action that it sort of smooths out in a way that football is like run, stop,
right,
set, go, stop. It's choppier, and I think that I mean, I agree with you. I think the poetry of baseball, and I believe that there is poetry in football as well, to a certain extent and of a certain kind. But the kind of poetry that is in baseball, I think, lends itself beautifully to movies.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You know
To
what?
say nothing of the
By the
fact
way,
that,
before we give up on this conversation,
yeah,
only tangentially related is that I have figured out something that makes people more uncomfortable than saying, "Can I talk to you about Jesus?"
what is
There,
that?
in the history of the world, there has never been something that makes people more uncomfortable than, "Can I talk to you about Jesus?" Are you ready for it?
Probably not.
Let me tell you about my fantasy football team. Like, seriously, it is I it you know, Bill Simmons talked about this once in one of his articles, where basically he said, even if someone else is a fantasy football player, they don't want to hear about your fantasy football team. But it's so, like, we've all tried, though. You try to
Sure.
talk about it, and literally, like, halfway through the first sentence, another person is just like, I don't care. Yeah, no, it's just like, but not just that, like, they're not even asleep. It's not even that it's boring. It's like there's something inside people that are just like, oh God, just don't.
Just
Don't do
could you
that.
not?
Don't.
Would you please
Please,
not?
God. If I walked in, if I rang a doorbell and was like, would you like to talk about football? My fantasy football team, or Jesus? They'd be like, well, tell me about Jesus, I guess. I really
Awesome.
feel like it makes people that bothered. So, anyways, that's all I
The
wanted to
only
say about that.
the only thing I'd say about that is that I can't. Can you think of a good? Can you think of a good baseball television show? Because I can't. And not only there isn't a good football television show that I can think of either,
The League apparently is a really good
but the
show
league is a
because it's about the
phenomenal.
passion. It gets the whole group
Yes,
together, and it
yes,
shows
you're
the
right.
passion and the drama of a group. That's why
I
it
just
works.
I could watch that
So,
in
but I
endless
hear
loop,
that.
and there have been
I hear
days
that.
that I
Right.
have.
Yeah.
I think we're good here. I mean, sports movies. We're gonna come back to this because
Yeah.
they're awesome. Some aren't, and
When we do our Wesley Snipes filmography, we'll be watching White Men Can't Jump. I'm just kidding. We are never going to do that.
and and Major League.
Oh, well, maybe we will do that. No, we are not doing a Wesley Snipes filmography.
Really? You don't want to watch Passenger 57 again? Always bet on black.
You mean for the first time? The only reason we all know that line is because it was in the trailers.
I watched that movie. I love that movie.
Ugh.
And by love that movie, I mean I don't love that movie at all, but it is an enjoyable action movie. I got nothing. Guys,
Clearly.
this has been another Second Breakfast podcast. This was a fun one. We're going to come back to sports movies, I think.
Shockingly.
Shockingly. We're going to repeat ourselves. That's weird. We will see you tomorrow for a special Thursday edition of Project Melway.
Project Melway.
Project Melway. And then Friday for our mailbag. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, if you didn't, leave us a YouTube comment. Please do. And as Phil said, please, like us on Facebook if you haven't. If you have,
Right?
find one of your friends who hasn't and ask them to do
Right?
the same. I'm Andy
And if
Ross.
they ask, why should I like this show? Just be like, because it's really good.
Right? Because we're awesome.
You're
QED.
kind of amazing.
I am Andy Roth. That is Phil Duvall. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.